Carlos Prates versus Michael Morales. Make this fight ASAP. Following the recent events of UFC 330, I've only got one fight on my mind. Well, that and a thank you is owed to Islam Makhachev. Thank you, Makhachev. It wasn't the slime out, we were all hoping for, but hey, the head kick was pretty sweet, and I know head kicks. But more importantly, Islam Makhachev kept this weirdo away from the belt, at least for now, so thank you, Islam. Back to the title picture. We need Carlos Prates versus Michael Morales now. And as far as Ian Garry goes, back to the Apex with you, mate. Okay, according to my notes, Ian Garry's actually never fought at the Apex, so maybe we can send him back to Cage Warriors. That'd be even better. Just fully get him out of the UFC. Maybe we could trade him to the PFL. But yeah, anyways, following the rather lackluster welterweight title fight that happened in the main event of UFC 330, the big question is, who is next for Islam Makhachev? And it pretty much comes down to two names. That's Carlos Prates or Michael Morales. And it really should be three names, but Shavkat's just permanently injured, it seems, ever since he took an arrow to the knee.
I used to be a
contender
like you, and I took an arrow in the knee.
Seriously, just another reason to hate Ian Garry. So this is the bracket as I see it, the four-man tournament. You got Ian Garry versus Islam Makhachev. That's already happened. And then you do Prates Morales somewhere in South America. You could do a homecoming to Ecuador for Morales. You could always have a fight night in Brazil. The UFC's gone to Brazil a million times. They're going to go back. Hell, put it at a mutual site in South America. UFC Paramibo. I really don't give a shit as long as we get this fight. Do it ASAP. We need it immediately. It really should have been on the main card of UFC 330. That main card could have certainly used a Prates versus Morales feature fight. Islam literally said they should have fought at UFC 330 in his post-fight presser.
Let them fight. Why they not fight in this card to see who is the number one contender?
Morales has been out just as long as Islam. He fought at UFC 322. That was his last fight. And Carlos actually fought on that card as well, but he, stayed active fighting JDM. But that was in May, and he didn't take a ton of damage from my understanding. So they should both be ready to fight. Morales did weigh in as the backup fighter for this card after all. So again, I don't know why they didn't fight on the card. Lord knows UFC 330 could have used it. Instead of this title eliminator in the feature fight, we got Jalen Turner sliming someone out, and we got, Mansour Abdul Malik getting fraud checked by Dustin Stoltzfus. And I don't want to disrespect the great and powerful Stoltzfus. It was a Stoltzfus masterclass. I'm just saying, probably could have used a top five, welterweight title eliminator. Let's see who's next for the title that's in the main event kind of fight. Now, I already know Morales Prates would have been a banger in the way that our two title fights certainly were not. It was a no-brainer. You literally had Morales already weighed in at 170. So, that makes me think maybe Prates is the reason this fight didn't happen or hasn't happened. But I'm going to ignore that because, I live vicariously through Carlos Prates. We aren't ducking Morales. We are being strategic with our career. We will rip more darts and we will knock more fools out. We will beat Islam Makhachev for the welterweight title. Maybe. But speaking of Islam Makhachev, that's not the only thing of interest, the only thing of note he said in the UFC 330 post-fight press conference. He also spoke on his timeline, having a quick return to the octagon.
Bro, we have to fight before Ramadan, 100%. January, end of the year, we have to fight.
If the number one pound-for-pound fighter in the sport wants to make a quick turnaround, you let him. Makhachev has not been the most active fighter since vacating that lightweight title, having a 10-month turnaround between each of his last two fights. And according to him, it wasn't entirely by choice. He said that he actually asked to fight in the summertime. He even signed to fight Ilya at the White House, but it didn't happen for, reasons.
That's fucking illegal.
So yeah, if the pound-for-pound number one fighter on the planet, possible future GOAT of the sport, wants to turn around, you make that fight Dana, please. And I suppose that probably means no Morales Prates, at least for now.
But I want it now!
Now, putting my bias aside for a moment, that leaves us with the question, who deserves that title shot? Morales or Prates? Because if you ask both of these guys, they'll say they're next. Carlos literally wore a shirt that says, "I'm next" on it. And obviously, Morales weighing in as the backup has a good argument for the title fight as well. The UFC brass loves to reward that. They always set guys up for the next title shot by often having them as a backup fighter, right? So, who deserves it more? Well, for Carlos Prates, we can definitely say he fought the better competition, taking on and knocking out two former champions in his last two fights. And speaking of knockouts, he has a 100% finish rate in all of his UFC wins. And most importantly, I would say he has stayed active since UFC 322, where Morales just simply has not. Really, the only thing going against Carlos is that loss to Ian Garry. Now, on the flip side, you have Michael Morales, who is, of course, an undefeated fighter, not only in the UFC, but he has a spotless record in his professional MMA career at 19-0. He weighed in as the backup fighter for UFC 330, and while his level of competition is objectively lower than Carlos Prates's, it is worth noting he's fought more grapplers than Carlos Prates, and that's very relevant considering Islam Makhachev is the champion, and, well, welterweight Makhachev is going to be grappled. He's going to be grabbing you. And yeah, obviously, Sean Brady's no Islam Makhachev, but Sean Brady, not for nothing, was ranked number 2 at the time of the Morales fight. So who deserves it more? Well, frankly, I think they're both pretty deserving. I can make a compelling argument for either fighter. That's why you would have, a title eliminator. Crazy, I know. But if I had to pick one, I would lean towards Carlos Prates. For one, he is the older fighter. Morales is so young in the division. I really wouldn't mind seeing him get a few more fights under his belt. But I think you have to reward Carlos Prates for being active. And you shouldn't hold his loss to Ian Garry against him, considering Ian Garry is, if not the number 1 welterweight, probably the second best welterweight in this division, considering Shavkat is no longer in the rankings. I mean, he did just barely lose to Islam Makhachev, and Carlos Prates, has fought the harder guys. Would Michael Morales be undefeated if he fought Ian Garry, if he fought JDM? I don't know. Maybe. And that brings me to the next point. Giving the title shot to Carlos Prates means we can do Morales versus Garry, which if y'all didn't see that backstage interaction and some of the podcast clips from the past with Michael Morales, he might be the only guy on this earth that actually hates Ian Garry even more than I do. Well, Neil Magny probably hates him the most, but I'm just saying they don't like each other. I know Ian Garry is trying to be a fake nice guy in this video, but there's tension there. It'll be a good build-up, and if Michael Morales wins, it'll probably mean we see Ian Garry slimed out dead on the canvas. So that's my suggestion. We do Michael Morales versus Ian Garry. We do Carlos Prates versus Islam Makhachev. If Shavkat ever comes back, just put him right in the title fight. And yeah, give Neil Magny a cool fight. He won his fight. Shout out Neil Magny. Let me know your thoughts below. Do you agree with me? Do you think Michael Morales should get the title fight? Or should Islam Makhachev fight some third mystery contender? Ain't no mercy, I got that purple Lamborghini lurking. Rose!